I remember it like it was yesterday. I was just learning about Agile, getting quite excited about it, as I am now. And I got on a train. I was heading home, and two gentlemen got on the train, and they were very animated, and they were talking to each other. And one of them said, "Oh, we're just doing this brand new thing at work. It's called Agile. It's great." So his friend sort of is curious about this, and was asking a question. And I, of course, my ears pricked up, and I leaned in because I'm trying to learn everything I can about this new thing. And and the guy said, "Yeah, it's great. There's no planning." And just a shiver went down my spine. I just thought, no, that can't be right. And so I went and spoke to people who were mentoring me and who were coaching me on this. And of course, it's just not true. Um, Planning is essential to Agile. And in fact, what we learn is that Agile planning is continuous replanning. I'm going to show you some examples of some projects that I've been working on to show you just exactly how we go about doing this. So the first thing is it's important to have a high-level roadmap. And I like to have a roadmap which is about 12 to 18 months, so to give us an idea of what it is that we're expecting to build over that time. And this, for example, would be for a company where they had a lot of different projects that they were working on. And this is exactly what we had in this particular case. We had we had 3 teams at the time. We were moving up to 6. We eventually ended up with 10. But this is how we were planning to do the work, and then March came along. Now, this wasn't March 2020. This was March a couple of years earlier. And what had happened was there was a major change in the organization, and that all that work, all that planning that had happened on this high-level roadmap would have been an absolute waste had we done it in the sort of detail that people traditionally do things in. So we say do things in big handfuls, just get an idea of where you want to go. A high-level roadmap for all the projects like this is a good idea, and then you probably have a high-level roadmap also for the individual projects. We'll look at one of those in a little bit. But the way I describe this to people is imagine you're going on a road trip. So we have a map, we have an idea of where we're heading, but we can't exactly be 100% sure of the route that we're going to take because things may change. Things will come up that will cause us to have to change our routes, maybe even go back on ourselves at times. But we know for sure that we are heading for a particular destination. And as we know, we don't know what our velocity is until we get started. So we want to take all of these factors into account. And the truth is that everything is changing all the time. And I think the way I think of a project typically is something like this. We have the original scope, that was agreed with the user, with the customer, whether it's internal or external, and we have a starting point, and we will prepare a plan. We will put together an idea of how we get from A to B in this example. Now, as time goes on, we find that if we build in the green area, then the user isn't happy. They are not going to be satisfied with that. And what we find is that things start to change. In fact, we know the user can live with what we have in this example in the blue, but again, if it was in the green, they won't be happy. And eventually, as we get closer and closer to delivering the project, we find that actually the user will be delighted in the purple. Look there how the original scope is not going to delight the customer. But the new information that we have will. And this is true for so many projects. What we thought we knew at the beginning, what we thought the customer wanted, what the customer thought they wanted, will change over time, which is why we want to do things in sprints and keep the user really close at the end of every sprint, have a conversation with them and discuss what has changed and how. So in this project, in this example here, we do 4 sprints, and we can actually get to where the customer is delighted. We'd start off heading towards what the scope was. Eventually, we deliver what we want. So again, do not spend all that time scoping out the requirements in great detail. Instead, think of this as as a product backlog where we are spending our time on the items at the top, those items that are going to go into the sprint backlog, and keeping as much flexibility as we can. I've probably mentioned this before. This is a real live project that I was working on. You'll see there Sprint Epics 4 and Epics 7. An epic is a group of features and items that we're delivering. Um, and what we found that we were adding things late in the day, just before going into the sprint, we recognized that things were moving around. We moved Epic 4 all the way down to the bottom after some more negotiations, discussions, and conversations. We were refining those items as they were getting closer to the top, and of course, we were deleting items that we realized we no longer needed. And this particular project, the product backlog that you saw for a second ago, looked something like this. So we knew that we had a particular cutoff that we might want to deliver to, and we had reprioritized epics. We had deleted epics, and we thought that we would cut off. This is what actually happened, in fact. The project looked something like this, so that we knew the number of points that we were delivering against those epics. We had 9 in total to start with. We were currently in sprint 8 in this example, and we knew that we had not defined those items at the bottom. We had deleted items, we were reprioritizing items, we were running experiments along the way, and again we had this idea that we may be able to cut this project off early and save ourselves a lot of time. Then that's exactly what we did in this example. We delivered 5 out of the 9 epics, and saving ourselves a huge amount of time and effort, a huge amount of cost, of course, as well. But we made sure that we delivered to the customer, to the users, exactly what they needed and exactly what they wanted. At the beginning, they thought they wanted other things. By the end, they had everything that they needed, and we were able to wrap that up. Keep the team together, of course, because now that team knows how to work together. The users trust them, and there's always another project around the corner that we want to deploy them onto.